speech number 3. And the project speech is get to the point. The purpose of the speech, select the speech topic and determine the general and specific purpose. Organize the speech in a manner that best achieves those purposes. Ensure and begin body and conclusion, reinforcing the purpose. Project sincerity and convictions, control any nervousness you may feel, and strive I may feel and strive not to use notes. I'd like to introduce at this time Ami Deva.
Good morning, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. We have a timely Indian-themed meeting since Indian Independence Day was just a few days ago on August 15th. And Indian Independence Day was in 1947, so 60 years ago. And I'm sure people in this room have varying degrees of familiarity with India. I know at least one person, my mom, was born and raised in India. There are people here who probably visited India when they were traveling. Some of you may have Indian friends, and some of you may simply just like or dislike Indian food. So I was born here in New York, but to parents who were both born and raised in India, and I've been fortunate enough to have visited India about 4 times in the past. And luckily, living in a melting pot city like New York, even though India's 1,000 miles away, I've had plenty of exposure to the Indian culture. I did grow up only 2 subway stops away from Jackson Heights, so I'm sure many of you are familiar with Jackson Heights, 74th Street, Little India, which is literally like a hop, skip, and jump away from here, Elmhurst Hospital. So keeping with the theme of today's meeting, I just wanted to give you all a little idea about India, some fun facts and a few stories. Well, in terms of where India is located, it takes up most of the subcontinent of southern Asia. It has many neighbors. China's on the northeast, Pakistan is to the west, and then to the north there's Nepal and Bhutan, and Burma and Bangladesh are on its east. The size of India, it's about 1/3 the size of the United States. And for the population of India, any guesses? Anybody?
1.1 billion.
Huh?
1.1 billion.
Yeah, no, it's huge. As of 2006 estimates, it was 1,095,351,995. I'm always amazed how they come up with these estimates. 995. But so that's the estimate. It has a growth rate of about 1.4% a year, which is pretty large. The capital is in New Delhi, and looking at some of the larger cities and their population, I was just like blown away. The capital of New Delhi, the metro area, has a population of about 15 million, with the city proper having a population of close to 10 million. And India's largest city is called Mumbai. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it as Bombay, which was the British name, and I think many of the cities in India have reverted back to the original name. So Mumbai, its metro area has a population of 18 million, with the city proper having a population of 11 million, so huge. India has the 12th largest economy in the world, and it's the 3rd largest in Asia, second to China and Japan. And now another fun trivia question. Can anyone guess the number of dialects that are spoken in India? 1,600. Wow. Over 1,600. I was just like blown away, but I checked that. There are a lot. There are about 12 principal languages in India, and within the principal languages, each has dozens of its own dialects. So I speak one Indian language, Gujarati, and I know there are other languages that are just sound totally different. It sounds like South American to me. I personally like southern India, and the languages that are spoken there, they're very musical in nature. Gujarati is not, but that's okay. the predominant religion in India, as most of you know, 80% of people are Hindu, and then about 13% are Islamic, and the minorities are like Christianity and Sikhism, each at about 2%. So India, the subcontinent, is home to one of the oldest civilizations, which is the Indus Valley civilization, which was in India in 2500 BC. So it was a long time ago. And then after that, the Aryans came into India about 1500 BC, and they're the ones that brought in Sanskrit and the Vedic religion, which is which was the forerunner of Hinduism. And in the 1500s, the Muslims invaded and they started building the Mughal Empire, which was there for about 3 centuries. And now I'd like to just share a story about one of the emperors of the Mughal Empire. The emperor, it was the 5th emperor of the Mughal dynasty, and his name was Shah Jahan. He fell in love and married a woman named Mumtaz Mahal, and he gave her that name, and the name meant chosen one of the palace. And although it was his 2nd marriage, he said that this was, the real and true love of his life. And what makes the story a little tragic is that, it was this real love, because after she bore the Shah his 14th child, she passed away. And as she was dying, she asked for 4 things of him. One was that he build something that she would be remembered, that would be remembered forever. 2nd, that he marry again. 3rd, that she'd treat their children well. And 4th, that he visit her tomb on her death anniversary. So after a few months, the Shah decided to build something that his wife had asked of him. And he said it would be called the Taj Mahal, and that means the crown palace, and it would hold her tomb. And later on, it would also hold his tombs. So architects were called to sketch this palace, and it began construction in 1631. It took 20,000 people to build the Taj Mahal, and construction was finished 22 years later in 1653. And I've been to the Taj Mahal, fortunately, and it is breathtaking. After seeing the Eiffel Tower for the first time, I was so excited. I saw it. It was beautiful. It was kind of anticlimactic, though. But then, so I was expecting the same thing for the Taj Mahal. But some of the photos here are of the Taj Mahal. It has a presence that's just fantastic. But unfortunately, the story doesn't end here. The Shah was kind of scandalous. He had killed all his brothers to become emperor. He didn't kill any of his sons, so one of his sons, in fact, took over his empire, took him prisoner, put him in a jail, and so from his prison tower, he had a small window with a view of the Taj Mahal where he lived out the last 9 years of his life, just looking at his Taj Mahal, reminding him of his love. After the Mughal Empire, the British came in, and then the Europeans came in, the British had rule, and then eventually, led by Gandhi, in a big part by Gandhi and his influence and leadership over the people, India regained its independence. So, and again, as I said, that was 60 years ago. So I hope that was a little bit about India for you. Thank you very much.